Pardon the interruption, but I'm Mike Wilbon. Tony, favorite times of the sports calendar, NFL Combine Week.
Tony Kornheiser, have you no shame?
Yeah.
None?
Yeah.
You did this last year when the Bears had the number one pick until they traded the number one pick. I mean,
Combine.
it's just, people see through you.
No, they don't.
People know.
I know all the quarterbacks. I know all the left tackles. I know all the receivers. I'm ready. I got height, weight, verticality.
Right.
I got it all.
And I know you hate the combine.
Yeah.
You hate it and loathe it.
Well,
you do. Welcome to PTI, boys and girls. In today's episode, Bryce Harper's contract, Kyler Murray's future, and Candace Parker joins us for 5 good minutes. But we begin today with Monty Williams furious after last night's game. Williams' Pistons did not get a call with 8.5 seconds left when the Knicks' Dante DiVincenzo barreled into Detroit's Asar Thompson. Williams called it the worst call of the year. Let's listen.
The absolute worst call of the season. No call. And enough's enough. We've done it the right way. We've called the league.
We come now to your Arizona Cardinals. Out of the blue, they posted a bunch of pictures of Kyler Murray yesterday on social media, and they titled the spread, Our Franchise QB. It was accompanied by no news. It was just pictures. Years ago, the Cardinals did this with Josh Rosen and then traded him within months after using the overall number one pick to draft Murray. So I ask you, Wilbon, because you're an Arizona guy, are they committing to Murray or are they dangling him?
I'm not about to spend 1 second of my valuable time trying to read the tea leaves on the Arizona Cardinals. Are you crazy? There's no point to that. That franchise, and I'm not talking about just current management, so I don't want to get any, text messages. But Tony, historically, that franchise doesn't know what they're doing from 1 month to the next, much less 5 seasons ago. Are you crazy? There's no point. There's been no evidence that franchise on a continuum is smart enough, clever enough to do what you're suggesting, that they're going to sort of circle back and run a misdirection. What? It's the Cardinals, man.
Yeah.
Can they just field a successful team? They're challenged to do that, not play these mind games you're suggesting.
Yeah, so I have absolutely no reason to care about this one way or the other, the Arizona Cardinals and Kyler Murray. I have no skin in this game.
Right.
But this is so weird to me, Mike, that it does seem to me that they're dangling him. It seems to me in fishing like they're casting their line into the water to see who will bite. Will somebody give them a number one draft choice for Kyler Murray? Will somebody take his contract away because they might think it's an onerous contract? Now, maybe they could get teams at the second and third spot who I believe maybe Washington and New England. Maybe they're not. Maybe they're not convinced that Drake May or Jaden Daniels is better than Kyler Murray. So maybe the Cardinals could do that. I agree with you that this is a lost franchise. They promote their hires, how great they are. Cliff Kingsbury, greatest coach of all time. Kyler Murray, greatest quarterback. And then in 2 hours, they're looking to get rid of him.
Right.
They don't appear to have a guiding light there. They just don't. Let's take a break.
Marvin Harrison.
Coming up, what should we expect when Draymond Green faces Jordan Poole tonight? We're going to ask Candace Parker.
And we're also going to ask her what she would do if she was in Caitlin Clark's shoes. Stay in school, jump to the WNBA. Didn't your Nationals win a championship after getting rid of Bryce Harper? Didn't they?
Yes, I'm just saying that he got Trey Turner there. He kept Kyle Schwarber. He's important, Mike. He's important. Today's guest has a decent resume. 3 WNBA titles, 2 league MVPs, 2 NCAA championships, 2 Olympic gold medals, and her side hustle, analyst for Turner Sports. It's Candace Parker.
Yay.
I'm going to go to my glasses so that I can read the first question. Let's start with the NBA. The Warriors get Chris Paul back tonight. I'm sure they're in Washington because Wilbon is going. Plus, Draymond Green faces Jordan Poole for the first time. Do you expect any chippiness between them, or do you think that this is in the past?
Listen, I think it's in the past, but I mean, anytime you put Chris Paul back on the floor with Draymond Green, I mean, there's potential for a little chippiness. But listen, the Warriors are in okay position, and I look for them to make a push towards this end of the year. The Wizards, sorry, Mike, not so much.
No, not so much at all.
They're terrible.
No, we're going to
terrible.
see Golden State. Wait, since we can ask Candace anything, we will, and we're going to move to women's college hoops for a second. Caitlin Clark, as you know, has a chance to stay at Iowa or go to the NBA, and NIL affects that, which was not the case when you left Tennessee 1 year early. So, Candace, as you look at this now as an observer, what do you think you would tell Caitlin Clark about whether to stay or whether to go?
Listen, it's a completely different landscape from when I was in college. I was poor and eating, Papa John's before pregame and all that. So I went because of the potential and my value and the ability to make money. I think it's a different landscape now. I don't know, and I would be remiss if I didn't ask this question. Could she potentially make the same amount or more if she stays at Iowa? And I think that's the question of whether she wants to be challenged on the court, because I know as a competitor, you always want to challenge yourself against the best, which is in the WNBA. But in terms of being taken care of, being loved, we've already seen that, and why not milk that for another year?
All right, we'd be remiss if we have you and not ask you about court storming, which has become the topic du jour. I'm betting you were on the court a couple of times when people stormed and you were in that. Should it be banned? How did you feel when it happened to you? What do you think?
I do believe there should be things in order to allow the visiting team to get off the court. I know we as a team at Tennessee, when we knew we were going to lose, the couple times we lost, no, I'm just playing, our coaches got us off the court. So I do believe that the visiting team should have a chance to get off the court. So whether there's putting more security to kind of prevent and delay, but listen, court storming is a part of just the legacy and the history of basketball. So I would like to see it continue, but obviously when people start getting injured, those are things that have to be addressed. So I would like to see it continue, but in a safe manner, I guess, if that's answering your question.
Tough to make it safe. I mean, when you see those people coming onto the court running at about 80 miles an hour like cheetahs, it's very tough to make it safe. We will get you out of here on this. My own observation is that you sit here and you talk about all of these things happening in the world of basketball, and people forget you're still a player. You're actually still playing. It's not from above. It's from within. That's remarkable to me. So I'll ask you about your career and what's going on now. You recently re-signed with the back-to-back WNBA champions, Las Vegas Aces. You took below market money when you joined them last year. We just saw Breanna Stewart. I think she agreed to below max money with the New York Liberty, which is the rival team. Does this signal anything to you, this money thing? Is there something going on here that we should know about?
Listen, I think a lot of our earnings as WNBA players are off the court. I know a lot of my earnings, especially with television, with marketing, are off the court. And so when I choose a WNBA franchise, it has to do with being comfortable and making sure my family's taken care of, making sure that we have a practice facility, that we have, treatment and, all of those things that come with being an athlete and making it better. And so I hope at some point in the future that we look across the board and all 12 teams or all 13, 14, whatever, through expansion teams have that available. But unfortunately, that's not the case. So I think Breanna Stewart chose to be comfortable. And because of that, sometimes you have to sacrifice the money that's involved with that.
Thank you for being with us, Candace. It's a great pleasure for us.
Thank you. Tony, don't forget, Candace is the championship in our hometown. I was there for that. Don't forget that. Don't just go to Las Vegas.
That's great.
Telling you.
Let's take one last break. Go ahead.
Listen, guys, I remember the first time I was on PTI when I was 15, 16 years old. So it's an honor to be on the show with you all. And I watch you all every day, and just keep being great.
Thank you, Candace. Appreciate it.
When you were 15, I was already 80. Still to come, Bears GM Ryan Poles addresses the possibility of trading your boy Justin Fields.
I know. Where does the U.S. women's loss in soccer to Mexico leave the U.S. team? Yeah, Tony, we haven't. Candace and I haven't even talked about
over.
the Justin Fields thing yet. We will have to do that another time.
Happy time, people. Happy 48th birthday, Tony Gonzalez. The Hall of Fame tight end for Kansas City and Atlanta has the most receptions among tight ends in NFL history, 1,325. Gonzalez is second all-time among tight ends in touchdowns to Antonio Gates. Gonzalez has 111. Gonzalez also has the most receptions of all receivers in Chiefs history, 916, which brings us to Travis Kelce. Kelce already has the most receiving yards for the Chiefs, and he currently has 900 receptions with the Chiefs, 9 behind Gonzalez, 74 touchdown catches with the Chiefs, 2 behind Gonzalez. So Kelce should own both those franchise records early next season. But Gonzalez has 14 Pro Bowl appearances. Kelce has 9. So that mark may be out of reach, Mike.
Tony, I know that people want to crown what's-her-name's boyfriend as the greatest tight end ever. But there are people out there. You just mentioned one, and Tony Gonzalez, and Kellen Winslow, and John Mackey. And there's some great Gates. There's some great tight ends out there. And stop with the recency bias, people. Oh, this guy's great, and he's got a famous, girlfriend. He must be the greatest ever. No, cool your jets. Let's see. Let it play out.
Well, he's one of the greatest ever, and you forgot Rob Gronkowski.
Gronkowski, that's right.
Happy anniversary, Alex Smith. On this day 11 years ago, the 49ers agreed to trade their former overall #1 pick to Kansas City to make room for Colin Kaepernick. 5 years later, the Chiefs did the same thing. They traded 3-time Pro Bowler Smith to make room for Patrick Mahomes, who has since credited Smith with creating a culture in Kansas City that allowed him to step in seamlessly. Mr. Smith went to Washington, where he started off 6-3 in 2018. But Smith suffered a gruesome leg injury made worse by infection. After countless operations and therapies, Smith miraculously returned nearly 2 full years later. He started 6 games. He went 5-1. He was named Comeback Player of the Year, and Smith then retired in 2021.
Tony, as long as you and I have been doing this, covering sports in our lives, we're often asked, who are your favorite athletes? Who are your favorite players? And they're expecting you to say very, very famous people, and often that is the case too. But in my case, way up at the top of the pyramid, just favorite people covered, it's Alex Smith. A great guy.
Yeah.
I hate what he had to go through the end of it. And you know what? Depending on where he was earlier in his career, there might have been a greater actual playing career. Nonetheless, one of my favorites forever.
Happy trails to last night's game against Mexico for the U.S. women. Mexico beat the United States women's national team last night for just the second time ever, winning 2-0 in the Women's CONCACAF Gold Cup. The U.S. entered the game 41-1 all-time versus Mexico, the one previous loss coming in Mexico in 2010. Mexico's first goal last night was the first goal allowed by the U.S. to a CONCACAF opponent in 33 games.
That's a great goal.
Now, the U.S. had already qualified to advance in the Gold Cup, so this game wasn't critical. But it was played in California, and it does remind people of the U.S. early exit in the World Cup last summer. It also reminds people that the official coach of the U.S. team, Emma Hayes, is still coaching in England. Who knows what changes she'll make when she gets here?
Tony reminds people a lot of things, but how about maybe the rest of the world is getting better? How about we think of that too? That's possible.
Let's go to the big finish as quickly as possible. Bears GM Ryan Poles said if the Bears do trade Justin Fields, he wants to do right by him and do it sooner rather than later. Your reaction?
I don't have one. Ryan Poles is supposed to say stuff like that. It doesn't matter. We get to decision making, let me know. Shohei Ohtani made his spring training debut with the Dodgers today. What did you think, Tom?
Struck out looking, hit into a double play, then hit a 2-run bomb, which is what they pay him for. Anthony Rizzo says he's over his concussion, ready to protect Aaron Judge. Your thoughts?
That concussion came a long time ago. Anthony Rizzo was having a great season. Wishing him the best. I love Anthony Rizzo. Rory McIlroy won 10 of 12 skins to win the latest edition of The Match. You watched. Were you impressed?
Yeah, I watched 6 holes. I wish they had used Charles Barkley more, and I wish they had played teams so we could have had some trash talk. Okay. But I like night golf. I like to watch. Last one, men's college hoops tonight. Unranked Cincy at the new #1 Houston. Are you smelling upset?
No, Tony, I think Houston's a worthy #1 and really, 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 really good.
We're out of time. We will try and do better the next time. I'm Tony Kornheiser.
And I'm Mike Wilbon. Same time tomorrow, Knuckleheads. You can get the PTI podcast on the ESPN app or Apple Podcast. Paul VI, Tony, they played great last night against my boys from Gonzaga. Hell of a game. Now here's SportsCenter.
PTI.
All right, Wilbon. Should the NBA institute automatic review in the final 2 minutes?
Ah, you want to go all NFL now, do you, Tony? And have automatic review. Tony, I could live with it in the last minute. 1 minute, not two. Last minute of a game. Maybe if you want to expand it during the playoffs to two, maybe I could live with that 1 minute, enough delays. And if you're going to have that, then take a timeout away from each team, which in the playoffs amounts to like 6 minutes, 3 minutes per timeout, about that. So I would take that away, enough timeouts. And these guys ought to be able to organize themselves and play through some situations. Come on now, making $60 million a year. So, Tony, I would do that because that call, as Monty Williams suggested, was an abomination. It was an awful call that went against his Pistons. There's not even an excuse for it. There's no need to hesitate. There's nothing controversial or borderline about it. It's a foul. Call it. Free throws. That's the deal. So I understand why this comes up.
Okay, so you talk about 2 minutes, the last 2 minutes. That's the phrasing here, automatic in the last 2 minutes. The NBA is a 24-second clock. That's at least 6 possessions in the last 2 minutes. And the game will go on forever if there are calls that need to be reviewed in the last 2 minutes. You're happy with 1 minute. I'm not. That's still 3 or 4 possessions.
How many?
30 seconds, or actually 10 seconds, because that's what the controversial calls are all in the last 10 seconds.
Fair point.
And what I would like to see, that all the refs, just like in the NFL, have a red challenge flag and they throw it onto the court. That would make me very, very happy. Look, there's a human element here. Referees probably get 90% of the calls right, probably more than 90%. When you get a bad call, people don't know what to do. And I understand that. But you have to consider how long you're going to make these games. Automatic review is fine, but as close to the final buzzer as possible, Mike.
You know what I wonder sometimes about this? I'm going to go totally old school, way old school now. What would Red Auerbach say? What would Red say if confronted with this possibility? First of all, forget the red challenge flag. In honor of Red, you should be able to throw a cigar. Just throw a cigar right in the middle. If you can have court storming, you can have that. The Red Auerbach flag would be a cigar in the middle of the court. How you like that?
It's brilliant.
Thank you.
Brilliant.
That's it. We're done. Back to you.